Hi. I believe we all like to do our best at getting a job done. There's a sense of accomplishment, a sense of well-being, maybe even a sense of pride, especially when our boss has taken note and we are rewarded. In 2 Kings 10, Jehu, a commander of the army of Israel, is anointed king of Israel and is commissioned to destroy the whole house of Ahab. Now, Ahab was an evil king who was greatly influenced by his wicked wife, Jezebel. Together, they had led Israel into Baal worship, which caused the people to be immoral, a drunken people who were guilty of human sacrifice. With zeal, Jehu set out to drastically reform Israel. He destroyed the house of Ahab and killed the prophets of Baal. He spoke out against practices that disregarded God's laws, and he called the Israelites back to God's standards. Although he led the way in these reforms, he failed to finish the job. He did not remove the idols set up in Dan and Bethel. In 2 Kings 10, 28 and 29, we read, "So Jehu destroyed Baal worship in Israel. However, he did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, which he had caused Israel to commit, the worship of the golden calves at Bethel and Dan." Verses 30 and 31 say, "The Lord said to Jehu, because you have done well in accomplishing what is right in my eyes and have done to the house of Ahab all I had in mind to do, your descendants will sit on the throne of Israel to the fourth generation." Yet Jehu was not careful to keep the law of the Lord, the God of Israel, with all his heart. He did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, which he had caused Israel to commit. Jehu started off with great zeal for God, determined to do what God had asked him to do. But somewhere along the way, he was distracted and didn't finish the job God had called him to do. As a result, Israel never experienced the spiritual reformation that God intended for it. God has an amazing destiny for us all. He calls us and reveals his will to us. He calls us to get the job done, and in doing so, he promises to be with us along the way if we trust him, depend on him, and not get sidetracked and compromise. Jehu failed in getting the job done. He had the opportunity to bring Israel back to God, serving God wholeheartedly, but missed that opportunity. We too can miss the opportunities God puts before us. There are people depending upon our obedience to his call and his mission. My prayer for you today is this: get the job done. Finish what God has set before you. Take advantage of the opportunities before you and see what God will do through you. Be faithful in your service to God. Get the job done.